Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me here for Daily Spark TV. You guys know who I am. I'm Dr. Angela Butts-Chester, and you know what I like to do on my show. Say it with me. I want to enlighten, inspire, and empower you to become your best self. Now, scripture reminds us that the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And that's what we want to do today. We want to get you fired up about my guest. I'll be spending time today with Dr. Lewis McCall, and we'll be talking about his book. He chose the glory, the life and legacy of Obed-Edom. So you know what I'm going to tell you to do. Go on, get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea, because we are about to get started. Hello, Dr. Lewis. Thank you so much for joining me here today on Daily Spark TV.
Hello, Dr. Angela, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I am so glad that we are having these conversations about your book. Now, those that have been along on the ride of this series, I know that they are enjoying themselves because I know I'm having a great time talking to you. So thank you so much for coming back. However, I do realize that I may be introducing you to some new people out there. With that being said, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself? What makes you you?
I had an interesting childhood. I grew up a very poor boy in Chicago, uh, and around my eighth birthday, I had a couple of startling events. One was having people expose me to the mutilated body of Emmett Till, a Chicago boy who went down to Mississippi and was murdered by a bunch of racists who could never be convicted by a white jury. And that made me realize, hey, I'm black. People could kill me because I'm black. But fortunately, I took my refuge in the Lord. I was very religious, more so than my brothers. And I got baptized at age 7, and I had a horrible medical condition. I was paralyzed from my waist down, uh, and um, that taught me to pray. And like King Hezekiah in the Bible, one night in the hospital, I turned my face toward the wall and prayed, and God healed me. And it was so miraculous that they wheeled me into an auditorium, a dark theater in the hospital with doctors and interns, and they talked about my case with the spotlight on me. And uh, they knew something happened, but they couldn't take credit for it. I went on to become the first in my family to go to college, went to Northwestern University, eventually got a PhD, and then I went off to the Ohio State University as a professor of political science and international relations. And from there, I entered the Foreign Service. I could have entered some years before as a university undergrad, uh, which was quite unusual. But the panel that interviewed me said, you should probably stay in school because we think our white officers are going to have a hard time with a smart young black man like you. Uh, our department was quite racist and sexist. Women did not have positions at that time. Anyway, I wound up being working in or living in more than 60 countries around the world. Got to meet a lot of missionaries and evangelists and stuff, world known, renowned people. Uh, and uh, and then I went back to the Department of State and ended my 36-year career there as Assistant Inspector General. After I left, because I told God I had given enough of my life to the Foreign Service and the Department of State, I wanted to work for him. And so the first thing I did was to begin writing Christian books. And that's what I do now.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And not one piece of that story needed to be omitted. It is, I asked that question for that very reason. We never know what the behind the scenes, the backstory is for the awesome authors that have written the books that really draw us in. And we wouldn't know if no one asked. So, for those who wonder, why does she ask that question of everyone? Because you get to find out these bits and pieces that help us be the people that we are. Your story is one that is very touching. And thank you for your service as one who has many family members that work in government on various levels. It is definitely a calling, and it takes dedication not only for the individual but for their families as well. So thank you and your family for your work. Now,
Thank you.
absolutely.
My daughter got the bug. Yes, and she is serving now at a rank higher than what I had.
Congratulations. That is awesome. I am so excited that looking back at your time frame and then looking at today, how things have changed. Progress is always a slow turning wheel, but thank God that that change has come and she's able to do that. What a beautiful legacy. I love that. I love that. Now, being an author, most people say that they didn't want to be an author as a child, and this is just a new something that God has placed in their lives. But it sounds like this is something that you've wanted to do for at least a while. When did you know for certain that writing was going to be your next stage in life?
Well, I had always written. As a university student, as a professor, you publish your thesis and go on and do other things. Um, and as a foreign service officer, writing was a daily assignment. And it was because I wrote and wrote well and could reveal things that others hadn't that note was taken of me back in Washington. And they wanted me to come back there and uh, and take a position there, which I did. Um, and then, uh, as a part of the Office of Inspector General, we would have to write. Wow, we would have to write big reports. Me and my team, uh, in a series of days. I mean, short days, which meant burning the midnight oil and all sorts of stuff. So I was used to writing, and but it's a different kind of writing, from the academic writing to that professional kind of writing. Um, and and then when I finally got free, I had to learn a new kind of writing. And so you might notice from some of my books that they're kind of a storytelling. In part, that reflects a great missionary that I encountered in my time when I lived in Calcutta, who I thought could really tell a story. He's since moved on, but he and his wife had a wonderful career there in India and really impacted my life. And they allowed me to preach from their pulpit. There were famous people that came from the United States just so that they could say that they had done that with this man.
Oh, wow. See, again, you just never know where the Lord is going to lead you, how you are going to live out truly the vision that is for your life. Awesome and amazing stories, and I'm glad that you have settled into this new role, and that you're taking us along on the journey with you. I appreciate that. Now, when it comes to the title of this book, so many authors have said, Dr. Angela, I didn't know what I was doing. The title came to me first, and it was, okay, Lord, that sounds great, but what am I supposed to write about? Or they were given all of the written text of the book, but the working title never seemed to really work until one day, aha, they discovered the title. How was the story with the title for this work?
Well, I decided on writing about the character first. And because this character, Obed-Edom, is not a household name. Uh, there are plenty of people that could give you different kind. They could name all the disciples and everything else. But Obed-Edom, who that? But yet he plays a major role, but it doesn't come all together. It's spread around in bits and pieces. And the main thing that he did was he took possession of the Ark of the Covenant. It had been lost by King Saul in a battle with the Philistines. And the story was they took it to their cities. And first of all, their god Dagon fell down before it, head and arms came off and whatnot. And then they were struck by plagues, and many people died. And so they would move it from one Philistine city to another, to the point that the Philistines that saw it coming said, "Don't bring it here, don't bring it here." uh, anyway, what they decided to do was, look, let's put this thing on a cart and put two cows on it, and with who have just had calves. Okay, and if they don't turn back to their calves when their calves start crying out for milk, and they go down to those Hebrews, then we know that this was something having to do with their God. This wasn't just chance. And that's exactly what happened. Uh, they went to one man's house. They followed it down there, followed it down from the Philistine area to that. His name was Abinadab. He took it and he stored it away for 20 years. You know, like put it in the cellar or something. and and so it finally comes out of there. Uh, David goes to get it. He's king now, and he is really celebrating. He's got 30,000 soldiers with him. You know, when he was running around hiding from King Saul, he had 600 men. Okay, now he's got 30,000 soldiers. He's got musicians and priests. Uh, but you're not supposed to carry the ark on a ox cart. And so when the sons of one of the man who had been keeping it reached out to stabilize it when it hit a rocky spot in the road, God struck him down dead. And David got upset with God and afraid. So they took it to this house that was nearby on a hill, and that was Obed-Edom. And Obed-Edom, he didn't put it in the cellar. He didn't hide it. He put it in the middle of his house. And that's where the story begins. My wife and I actually visited the hill where they said his house was in Israel, in Judea. And you could see with the naked eye from there back to Jerusalem, you know, some miles away. Uh, but when David learned how it was supposed to be done, after having tasked his priests and whatnot, he came back and he was going to take possession of it and put it in his part of Jerusalem, which was called the city of David. And that's when Obed-Edom begged him, "Let us go with you." So he and 70 of his sons and clansmen went. They left everything and went. They chose the glory rather than the life that they had been leading. And that's where I got the title, that he chose the glory.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And every time I am reminded of this story, first of all, there's something about King David that just he's a page turner. You know, his character is so relevant even today, where bits and pieces of who he is reminds you of perhaps two or three people in your own life. And you're right, that moment of, well, Lord God, why did you do that? Now, why did you? That wasn't fair. That wasn't nice. respectfully, because he understood the power of God. But at the same time, I think that if we're honest with ourselves, we do have questions sometimes and go, Lord, I don't understand why this is happening. Why did you do that? I know you're God and I will understand eventually, but I don't get it. And I think that really shows his human side and is a way for us mere mortals to connect with the stories that we are
Well,
getting in scripture.
David didn't do everything right,
He sure
and
did.
but he confessed his sins. He tried to hide the sin with Bathsheba until that was pointed out in public. But when he made the mistake of trying to count the people to see how many soldiers he had, and God sent an angel and killed 70,000 of his people, he then volunteered, Lord, kill me and my family, but don't do anything to these sheep. They didn't do anything wrong. So it was that kind of thing where he would say, look, you can take me, Lord. Okay. That was after God's heart.
Yes, yes. Oh heavens, I just love. He and John are my two favorites. Well, it is time for us to take a very short break, but don't worry, I have so many more questions for you. But when we get back, we're definitely going to talk more. Now, of course, your book is available on Amazon or wherever books are sold, Dr. Lewis. But if someone wants to reach out to you, what is your website, please?
It is Louis McCall International.com. And that's Louis the French way, Louis. And I have my online bookstore on the site and book trailers, all sorts of stuff. So you can look it over and hopefully you'll be moved to taste and see.
I love it. Alrighty, everyone. Now you know where you can get a copy of the book. We'll be back right after this. And we are back. Thank you for joining us for Daily Spark TV. Now, Dr. Lewis, you were talking about a very wonderful part of this story, and that is the transition from where it used to be hidden to where it needed to be, more out in the open and accessible. We talk about transition in our lives today, and that is a subject matter that many people are trying to figure out. How do I go from this person that is hidden or behind the scenes or not shining as brightly as they can to being someone walking in their calling and purpose? How do you address that transition in your book?
Well, there are two transitions in the book. One is taking the ark from out of the closet and putting it in a central place so that when David came the second time to take possession of it, he saw that and it moved him. And Obed-Edom was also a musician. So I have him play for him and then give the lyre to David, who was, he knew how to play a harp and had him sing. From that, David, when he gets the ark back to the city of David, he doesn't do it like Moses did. He doesn't put it behind a curtain in a holy of holies. He has it just out in the open in his tent. So everybody can see it. And then he instructs Levites to make music and worship 24/7. That had not been done before. And he got that idea from Obed-Edom, from watching what he did there. But the bigger transition is toward the end of the book, because Jeremiah, the prophet Jeremiah, uh, he tells them of the prophecy that Ezekiel gave. Ezekiel was already up in Babylon with the first tranche of people who had been taken captive and taken up there. And he said that there's going to come a day when you're not going to see the ark, that people won't make a copy and it will be forgotten. And so this is the big transition at the end of the story, because they go off with the ark as the Chaldeans from Babylon are about to burn the city down, kill people, and take the rest of them captive up to Babylon. And so the new ark, the new covenant, is really Jesus Christ. And by the old covenant going away and being, basically disappeared, nobody knows where it's at. You might watch Indiana Jones and and that stuff, but no, it's not in the warehouse. It's not any of that. Uh, that prophecy stands, and Jesus came as the new one, and his mother Mary, basically, she was what portered the ark. He was inside her.
Oh,
And
I love that.
so those are big transitions. So you go from almost worshiping the ark because God spoke from it to Jesus, who is the voice of God.
Mm.
Okay, God with us, Emmanuel. And so that's sort of an epilogue to the book. But that is the major transition.
Mhm. Oh, I love that. And I think as we age and mature both in our physical number, but in our faith as well, we go through very similar transitions of understanding where we are and whose we are and why we do the things we do and why God does what he does. Which leads me to the next question. Even though we may not understand things in real time, God always does things with a purpose behind it. Nothing is happenstance, or at least I don't believe it is. And I want to kind of go back just a bit and address the point that the ark had fallen into pagan hands, if you will. Why was that an important step, do you think, in in the story for God, for us to understand that God allowed that to happen?
Because they misused the ark. They tried to use it as a magic charm. Saul was losing a battle, and he said, "Go get the ark." Now, the ark had never been in Jerusalem. It had when Joshua crossed with the people over the River Jordan, it was in Gilgal, and after winning a few battles, he moves it to Shiloh. Okay, uh, and and that's where it stayed until this battle. Saul sends for it, and Eli's sons come out with this ark. They get slaughtered, and the ark is taken captive. So it was misused. They didn't honor it. They used it as a magic charm, a talisman, and so the Philistines. This was a trophy of war. Hey, we got their god. Whoa! Did they make a mistake? Eventually, the first uh, Hebrew city where the ark went, the people made a major boo boo. They lifted the lid and peeked inside, and they were struck down dead, thousands of them. so so it was kind of like moving around in the Philistine cities, different Hebrew cities. No, don't bring it here. And it finally winds up with Obed-Edom, who honors it. And the Bible is clear that if you honor God, he will honor you. And that's what happened. So generations of his family and clan, they served as guards of the temple treasury, guards in the temple, doorkeepers, because you didn't want certain ones to enter into those grounds, and as the musicians. And that is what they did. And they were a country that was between major powers, Egypt on the south, and the Assyrians, and then the Chaldeans on the north. And they kind of like fought over them. They would be taken by one and by the other. And so they stripped the temple several times. Even the king of Samaria came and did the same thing. But they never got the ark or the important items. And I am positing that the clan of Obed-Edom found ways to hide it and protect it during that time. Now, a big turning point in the story as they're being surrounded by the Chaldeans is that the king throws Jeremiah into a dungeon and he's sinking down. It's not quicksand, but it's muck and it's swallowing him up. And the hero of the story is an African. a man named Ebed-Melech, similar to Obed-Edom. And they both mean the same things. They mean servants of the king. And he goes to the king. He happens to be, he's a eunuch. They took care of that because he was in charge of the king's harem, his wives. And he tells the king, he said, look, you got to let me save Jeremiah. And the king listens to him. And so he goes and he takes treasury guards from the king's palace and treasury guards from the temple, which is Obed-Edom's relatives, and they pull him out. And he so wisely uses cloths, rags, and stuff so that it's not going to tear the prophet. And so, like 30 guys, gently pull him out of there. And when he gets out, Jeremiah tells him, look, the Lord's told me this place is going down. You got to get out of here, and you need to take the ark with you. Don't let it fall in the hands of those Chaldeans. And so that gets into this very dramatic portion of the book where they're trying to escape and get to a cave in the hills, where shepherds would keep their sheep sometimes, and get away from what was about to befall on Jerusalem.
Oh my goodness. As you're reminding us of this story, it pops into my head when people say, "Oh, the Bible is boring." Only shining new light for those that are coming into the faith, but also it is a fresh awakening for those that are mature Christians. There's nothing like finding a new way to understand old information because it becomes new again. I love that. I love that. I could talk to you for hours, but thank you so much for spending time with us here today. Now, I want to ask one last time. Of course, the information is up on the screen, but we want to get this into everyone's remembrance. We know your book is available online at Amazon or wherever books are sold, but if someone wants to reach out to you or find out more about your books, where should we go? What's your website?
Just go to lewismccallinternational.com.
I love it. Thank you again, Dr. Lewis, for being a guest here on Daily Spark TV.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And viewers, thank you for spending time with us here today as well. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to spend it with us, and I thank you for doing so. I hope that we have, once again, enlightened, inspired, and empowered you. As always, may the Lord continue to shine his face upon you. May you receive his grace and his mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, remember that you are blessed in the Lord. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.